I got robbed in Vietnam, and it ended up being one of the best things to ever happen to me. A man on a motorbike cut my bag right off me, and in seconds I lost my passport, my cards, and all of my cash. But what happened next changed the way I feel about Vietnam and the people that live here. Picture it, Saigon, 2008. I was traveling through Southeast Asia with my then boyfriend, and we had just arrived in Vietnam from Cambodia by bus, where I had actually made a very bad decision to try magic pizza. Learned that mistake. Now we found a great hostel in our guidebook because it's 2008 and we needed cash. The hostel told us to leave our big bags and there was just an ATM around the corner. Now we brought our day bags with us across our chest because that's the safest way to carry your things, right? We're walking hand in hand down an uncrowded sidewalk, which is very rare in Vietnam, when two men on a motorbike get on the sidewalk and start driving for us. Now, this is not unusual, except they did not go around us. And in fact, we had to part hands in order to let them through. And that's when it happened. The passenger on the back took out a knife, slashed my bag off me, and then it was gone. It all happened so quickly, I was shocked. But then I remembered I had everything on me, as you should. My DSLR, my debit cards, my credit cards, my passport, and my emergency US dollars. Everything. And the people on the street around me looked horrified. Now my boyfriend asked me, was I okay? Was I hurt? But it felt like time had slowed down and I was frozen. Could not move, could not say anything. But I finally snapped out of it when I saw the street vendors were waving at me to stop, motioning that they were going to call someone, I think, because it was 2008. This was before smartphones, before Google Translate. We didn't know any Vietnamese yet other than Xin Chào. And even in Saigon, not a lot of people spoke English. But what could we do? I didn't know, and so we waited. Now, within a few minutes, a bunch of guys showed up on motorbikes and they spoke English. They offered to take us to the tourist police, so Jeff jumped on the back of one motorbike and I got on the other. And I thought, finally, I am safe. Our day is going to turn around. Except when we reached an intersection, he went this way and my bike went this way. And I thought, oh no, is this part of a bigger scam? I am now separated from the only person I know in Vietnam. Honestly, I was panicking. I was on the back of a bike and I did not know what to do. It was before Google Maps. It was before Google Translate. I didn't know where I was, what I was going to do, and how to even ask for help if I needed it. But thankfully, we all arrived at the tourist police station, taking slightly different routes. My driver said to me that this was not just a ride to the tourist police station, that they would accompany us in. Because even though it was the tourist police, it was also 2008. And so that meant they probably did not speak English. In order to get a police report, I would fill it all out in English and they would translate it to Vietnamese for me. That was the only way at that time to get an official document. They not only translated the document, but they stayed with us the entire time, 3 hours, and bought us coffee and snacks. We had a great time chatting with them about what it was like in Vietnam, and it really kind of helped me shake off what had just happened. Now, when we finally got the police report, we insisted that Jeff go to an ATM and hopefully not have the same thing happen, so we could give them a little bit of money for their time to buy some beer, but they refused. Actually, the opposite happened. They put us in a taxi to our hostel and gave the driver instructions and cash to get us there. It was incredible, but that's not the end of the story.
떨고 돌아 결국 to replay 괜찮다 믿으면 또다시
Their kindness helped me with my second hurdle, which was, how am I going to get out of the country? I was on holiday. I had 7 days left in Vietnam, and I was departing out of Hanoi, very far away from here if you didn't know. Vietnam is actually a very long country that Saigon to Hanoi, whew, it's a distance. So I went to the Canadian Embassy, which is fully staffed by Vietnamese. They all spoke perfect English. I explained to them what had happened to me. I had been robbed. I have to go in 7 days. I don't know what to do. And they really calmed me down. It was actually fantastic. Because I had the police report, I had emailed myself a copy of my passport, my social insurance number, and my birth certificate. Keep those in your email. And Jeff could act as my one reference. All they needed to do was wait until 9 a.m. Toronto time to call my second reference, his girlfriend. His sister, not his girlfriend, I was his girlfriend. And they said to me also, they did not want my trip to Vietnam to be ruined. So to continue with my plans. Now, obviously, I could not take any flights because I didn't have a passport, but they did give me a piece of paper explaining that I had been robbed and was in the process of getting a new passport. That was key because you do need to show your passport in hotels. Otherwise, the police can be called. So I was free to travel overland from Saigon to Hanoi. And that was actually a really great adventure by train. Now, along my trip, they emailed me every day to tell me the progress, reassuring me by the time I got to Hanoi that I would have my passport. And that is exactly what happened. The day I arrived in Hanoi, I had an email to go pick it up. Now, it was a white passport because it was temporary. And so they said to me I should get to the airport extra early. And they also had additional documentation to explain to immigration there what had happened. In the end, it was a breeze to actually leave the country. And what I was left with was an incredible sense of connection to Vietnamese and how they will take care of you when you're in an emergency. I'm sad to say it took me 15 years to return, but in 2023, I brought Alan to Vietnam, telling him about the story and how great Vietnam was. And we decided to take a motorbike, drive from Saigon to Hanoi. It was amazing. The Central Highlands, beautiful. But in Hanoi, we were hit by a car. And the reason I'm telling you this story was it was the second incident of the kindness of Vietnamese. Immediately we were surrounded by locals helping us, taking us to the hospital. And that video did not do well. I was just starting with YouTube, but I'll put it right there. It is one of my favorite stories of just kindness in a time that, again, you think is the worst thing that can possibly happen. And it really solidified for me and for Alan why we love this country so much and why we keep coming back.